Welcome back. So far we have learned auto and static storage class. Now it's time to learn extern storage class. Before we go and understand the extern keyword, I would like to introduce the global variable. Now a variable which is declared outside of any function is called a global variable. That means a variable in the global scope that's visible from anywhere, that can be accessed from any function of the program. And the lifetime of the global variable is equal to the life of the program as well. Now here we have a declaration of global variable. As you can see that at line number 3, it's gvar declared outside of any function. That's the global scope. So it's visible from anywhere. Now when the program starts, the global variable is allocated immediately. That means when we start the program with the main function, the variable gvar is there in the memory. So it is allocated. Now we are printing the content of the gvar immediately here at the line number 12. The global variables are implicitly initialized with 0. That means immediately after allocation, 0 is assigned by the compiler. So in runtime, you are always going to get 0 at the very beginning in the global variable. So here it's going to be 0 at the very beginning, and then the variable gvar is assigned with 10. As you can see that we have declared the variable here, but we are accessing from the local scope of main because it's visible from any function. Okay, so gvar is assigned with 10, so now it's 10 here, and then we are calling the function test. So on jumping to the function test, what we are doing, we are just printing the content of the same gvar. So gvar is visible from here as well. The same gvar is going to be printed, and the content of gvar is 10, so it's going to be printed 10 now. And then we are changing the content of gvar from 10 to 20, so it's going to be 20. The same location is going to be changed, and we're getting back to the main function and printing the gvar again, so here it is 20. So the fact is that we can access the variable gvar from anywhere, from main, from test, and we can do that from any other function. It's visible from anywhere. So the scope of the global variable is truly throughout the program. The lifetime of the global variable is also equal to the lifetime of the program. As long as the program is there running, the variable remain allocated, and when the program goes off, then the variable is deallocated from the memory. So the lifetime is equal to the lifetime of the program, and the initial value is 0. Let me just run this program. Okay, here we go. You can see that it's 0, then 10, and then 20 according to our understanding. Okay. Now, since a global variable can be declared outside of any function, so we can declare it anywhere in the global scope. Even I can go and declare it here as well. Now, if I declare the global variable here, after the test function, then if I go on and compile this program right now, it's going to be a compilation error. I'm showing you that. I'm compiling this file, and you can see that here is an error. Use of undeclared identifier gvar at line number 6, column 27. Okay, that is actually here. This is line number 6, and this is actually generating the error. And then also here the error is generated at line number 7, as you can see that. Now why so? It's actually because of the fact that compiler starts compiling the program from the very first line. So if we have the global variable declared here, as I had in the earlier case, at the beginning of my program, that means here, then while the compiler starts compiling, it is getting the definition of gvar at the very beginning. And when we are using gvar here at line number 6, then already the gvar has been declared, so the compiler knows what gvar is, so compiler could compile this. No problem with that. But when we are providing the declaration of gvar here, after the usage, that means we are using this here and we are declaring later on. So the compiler compiles from the first line, so when the compiler comes here, gvar is unknown identifier to the compiler. Compiler cannot understand what gvar is. That's why it's saying that undeclared variable. You can see that it's undeclared identifier gvar here. But it's very much legal, because according to the definition of the global variable, we can go on and declare the global variable anywhere. That means it should be in the global scope, that's all. So in this case, what we need to do is to provide the hints to the compiler that the gvar is a global variable and that is declared later on in the program or somewhere else in the program. So in such cases, what we do, we use the extern keyword in order to provide the hints to the compiler. Now, it's not a definition, and it's not a definition, it's only a declaration to the compiler that gvar is an external variable that we have declared later on, but for the time being, you just compile the usage in this function. So when we give this declaration, compiler is satisfied. Compiler gets to know that gvar is a global variable or external variable that comes later on or somewhere else. The declaration is given somewhere else. So compiler is going to compile the instance of gvar right now because it gets the declaration and the compiler is satisfied with the declaration. So if you are giving a global declaration in your program, then before the usage, you need to declare it using the extern keyword if the declaration comes later on. Now in this case, the program is going to be compiled okay and the execution will take place as well. Now you can see that it's successful and I'm running the program once more. So you can see that it's running as well. Even we could have given the declaration after the main as well. It's also global scope. I can just cut it from here and I am pasting it here. Now in main we need to declare it as extern int gvar. Otherwise the compiler is going to generate error at this line and again at line number 16 and 18. So it's declared now that gvar is external variable and it is coming later on. Okay, so it's again running fine. So whenever you are referring to some global variable, external variable, declare it with the extern keyword, irrespective of the fact that where it has been declared. It could be declared at any global scope, anywhere in your program, outside of any function, but you may not know where it is declared. Actually, what happens in practice, we have multi-file programs. Real programs are big and they may have more than one files involved in the same program, and the files may be written by different persons. Say for example, we have this a.h file and there is another file b.h in the same program, and a.h is having a global declaration of variable a here and a function fun a. b.h similarly is having a global declaration of variable b and a function fun b for some purpose. Now fun a is using the global variable b which is declared here, and fun b is using the global variable a which is declared here. That means these two files are using each other's global variables. In such case, what happens if some function requires to call both the function fun a and fun b, then a confusion is going to arise. Here you can see that from the main we need to call, say, both the functions, so we have called them here. Now in order to call both the functions fun a and fun b, we need to include both of the headers, so we have written hash include a.h and b.h. Now if the a.h is included first, then what will happen during the compilation process, this file will be compiled first by the compiler, and when the compiler comes at this line, it will flag error because the declaration of b is not available to the compiler, because the second file containing the declaration of the variable b is coming later on. So it's going to be error here. Otherwise, if we had included b.h first, then while compiling b.h, here the compiler will flag error because the declaration of a will not be available in that case to the compiler because a.h containing the declaration of a is coming later on. So there is a confusion. We need to use both the functions fun a and fun b. We need to include both the headers a.h, b.h, and they are using each other's global variable, and the compiler is unable to compile them. So in such cases, the extern declaration is very much useful. You can see that if we declare extern b here prior using the variable b and extern a here prior using the variable a in this file, then the problem will be solved. Because when the compiler gets this declaration, compiler understands that it's the enough hints to the compiler Compiler understands that the b is a global variable. The declaration of b is available sometime later on, maybe. So while compiler encounters this line, the usage of b is in this case compiled. Similarly, if we include this b.h first, then the usage of a is also compiled because compiler gets this instruction. So that's how we use extern storage class in our program. So thank you very much.